Oh, the Skyclave Shade can't block. What was I thinking? What was I thinking? Folks, we just missed 4 damage. Greetings, everyone. I am glad you are here, and I am glad to be here. Our jank today is in Standard, and we are trying to play some humans. There is a surprising number of really kind of good humans in the format, and including not just one, but 2 different lords. So we're going to try and see if we can go both wide and tall this time, folks. So the deck in general is going to revolve around General Kudro, no question about that. And we've seen a number of different General Kudro lists, both in Historic and Standard, since the release, of people trying to make it work. But I think a lot of that came out kind of basically right after Ikoria, right? And we were missing a bunch of really powerful pieces at the time. So now that we've had the addition of both M21 and Zendikar Rising, I think there are a bunch of really interesting cards here that might really give us an opportunity to swing things in our favor. So obviously, General Kudro and Sanctuary Lockdown are both humans you control, get +1/+1. Well, this is other humans, right? But this one is just humans. This one, if you tap or pay 2 mana, tap 2 untapped humans, tap a creature an opponent controls, right? General Kudro is pay 2, sacrifice 2 humans, destroy a creature power 4 or greater. It also says whenever this dude or another human enters the battlefield under your control, exile target card from an opponent's graveyard. So also gives us a little main deck graveyard hate as well. So then we also have Bastion of Remembrance, also an Ikoria card. So none of these cards are surprising, right? We only have this as a 2 of, just to give us some wrath protection stuff, right? But this gives us a 1/1 human, and whenever a creature we control dies, each opponent loses a life, we gain a life. So it gives us a little bit of a Blood Artist style effect for if our opponents try and sweep our board. However, the card, and then of course Dire Tactics, exile a creature. If you don't control a human, lose life equal to that creature's toughness. But since we have so many humans, that shouldn't be too difficult to arrange. All around during Ikoria. The cards that weren't around during Ikoria are pretty much everybody else. We have Beloved Princess just to fill in. We want a good 1-drop. Oh, crud. I removed that. Need to get that back. But notably, we do have some amount of life gain here, primarily just the Speaker of Heavens. But if our opponent is doing nothing for a really long time, we can gain life and get in and kill our opponent. This is a very, very solid 1-drop, especially if we follow it up with another card that wasn't around during Ikoria, which is Luminarch Aspirant. At the beginning of combat on your turn, put a 1/1 counter on a creature you control. So if we go turn 1 Speaker of Heavens, put a 1/1 counter on it, suddenly this is a must-answer threat in a hurry that also grows with our different lords. And we can start pumping out angels if we get there. And of course, our other 1-drop, Beloved Princess, also a life-linking threat. So even if we start on Beloved Princess and grow Beloved Princess, it can't be blocked by creatures power 3 or greater. So if we can grow it to at least 3 power, then it's kind of immune to combat damage, right? So kind of cool. And can gain us life in order to be able to start pumping out angels in those slower matchups. But then, again, I already pointed out Luminarch Aspirant, very, very strong. But another key card that was not around for the original humans list, Seasoned Hallowblade. This card is insanely strong. 3/1 for 2. Discard a card, tapped Seasoned Hallowblade. It gains Indestructible until the end of turn. So this card can be very, very difficult to remove permanently, right? And particularly in board sweeping situations and all that kind of stuff, it can be very strong. But it also trades very well in combat. It stays on the board, kills whatever is on the other side, oftentimes, and we just have to discard a card to give it Indestructible. That said, keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, we have all these Lord effects. It is typically going to be at least somewhat larger than a 3/1. 4/2 even, a very difficult threat to remove. 5/3? Holy cow, that's Indestructible? Jeez Louise, very, very powerful indeed. a couple of cards that are filling in around to make sure that we have both removal and hit our land drops. A couple of Skyclave Clerics. This is not a human, but it is a creature, so it does at least block really well, gain us some life. So in the mono-red style matchups, things like that, where there are a lot of shocks and things happening, can be good. But more importantly, it just is another body on the board, helping us go wide so that we can defend against our opponent's onslaught. Kabira Takedown is another one. Deals damage equal to the number of creatures you control to target creature or planeswalker. So a little bit of planeswalker removal. Again, also just trying to help make sure we hit our land drops. Bloodchief's Thirst, just removal. You know how that works. And topping off the curve, we have Basri's Lieutenant as a 4-drop. When Basri's Lieutenant enters the battlefield, put a 1/1 counter on a creature you control. It can be Basri's Lieutenant, but it can be anybody else. When it dies, or another creature you control dies, if it had a 1/1 counter on it, you get a 2/2 White Knight creature token with Vigilance. Again, the Knight is not a creature, but just with the going wide plan. And more importantly, this is a 3/4 Vigilance with protection for multicolored. And if the counter goes on Basri's Lieutenant himself, he's a 4/5 Vigilance with protection for multicolored. So can give us some staying power in the late game against the more mid-rangey style things. That said, folks, I'm kind of itching to play some games. How about you join me for some gameplay? I've got to go put a Beloved Princess back in the deck. All right, folks, here we are up against Wanma. Good luck, Wanma. We're gonna hang on to this. We have a couple of Luminarch Aspirants, which are very good in certain matchups. So far, we've faced two black-based decks that just had infinite removal, which is very, very, very good against what we're up to. We're really hoping to dodge that this time. Though our opponent on Rakdos, looking like we very well may not dodge that, we're going to cast a Skyclave Cleric because we're trying to draw out some removal here. It's strongly possible they're trying to hold up something like Bone Crusher Giant or something, right? But they also likely have Heartless Axe or Eliminates and things in the list as well, one would expect. All right, that's another mountain. Opponent does, in fact, have a Bloodchief's Thirst. Well, we are glad that that is gone. All right, let's Beloved Princess and Luminarch Aspirant. The counter will go on Beloved Princess. Okay, the opponent didn't have a Bone Crusher Giant. That was the card we were most worried about. Yeah, the opponent likely does have more removal here. Heartless Act on Luminarch Aspirant. Fair enough. But we really wanted to make sure we at least got the card off, or the counter off of Luminarch Aspirant, or from Luminarch Aspirant, I should say, not off of Luminarch Aspirant. All right, so Speaker of Heavens, Luminarch Aspirant. And we are going to put the counter on Speaker of Heavens as well. These red-black decks traditionally need to prevent you from gaining the life or whatever, right? That's they like to be really aggressive. Holy cow. Gonna get our odds? Darn it. Wow, what is going on today, folks? We have faced an awfully large number of we are going to get the counter on Luminarch Aspirant just to avoid future Heartless Acts. They've already shown us that they are decking it. I was going to make a token, put the counter on there, just to ensure ourselves against it a little bit, but I think this is fine. Nighthawk Scavenger out of our opponent. And passing. All right, Castle Ardenvale. Gonna make a dude. Yeah, we are going to just play our land. Bloodchief's Thirst. It's true, we do have Seasoned Hallowblades. Oh, Village Rites! Oh, my word. Yeah, alright, fine. Our opponent is running lots of removal and ways of refilling their hand and everything. Jeez Louise, folks. This is a hard counter to our deck. There's the Bone Crusher Giant we were worried about before. Timorak calls the dead. Jeez. Wow, folks. This is not great. Alright, we're going to try and get in. Going to be making a dude on their end step as well. Man, oh man. This has been brutal. Really open for some good top decks here. Something like Seasoned Hallowblade or whatever would be very good. We don't have a way of refilling our hand to make Seasoned Hallowblade into something truly remarkable, but, you know. All right. Gonna take our 2. Yeah. Get in with the Bell token. Trade with the Zombie token. But this does prevent our opponent from gaining life, scrying X for X the number of zombies, because they don't have any zombies, right? Yeah, I still think we are in very, very rough shape here. Trying to make sure to get the win as best we can, but easier said than done, you know? Easier said than done. Gonna play our land, gonna try and scry anything. Yes! Okay, that's a good one. Because now all of our humans, including the ones made from Castle Ardenvale, are in fact 2/2s, right? Now, our previous opponent had at least 4 different main deck graveyard or enchantment removal spells, despite being mono black. Because we saw 2 libations and 2 of the Feed the Swarm. Is that the one it is? I think it's Feed the Swarm. And that was so that was very bad for us. Let's hope that this is not the case this time. All right, we are going to play our land so that we can both make a token and cast the Sanctuary Lockdown. All right. Oh, darn it. No, I forgot. This is not a free activation. It costs 2. Darn it, folks. Yeah, I was going to make the 2/2 and then use 2 2/2s to tap down. Oh, the Skyclave Shade can't block. What was I thinking? What was I thinking? Folks, we just missed 4 damage. Our opponent would be at 3. Oh my gosh, that is brutal. Jeez. Okay. I mean, I guess I'm gonna get rid of the Nighthawk Scavenger there. Yeah, this would be lethal right now if I had not been stupid. Jeez, man, oh man. Gotta remember to read your cards, folks. Gotta remember to read your cards. This is okay, because now our opponent can't cast the Murderous Rider. The Murderous Rider would have been really annoying. All right. Castle Ardenvale. Oh boy, Dire Tactics is fantastic against what our opponent's about there. And holy cow, we sneak out the win. Folks, I really thought our opponent had us that whole time. The card that brought it in for us, no question about it, was the Sanctuary Lockdown. This card was great. Now, admittedly, this is one of those problems when you build a lot of decks and you don't get to play your decks very often. You miss some of these things. And I had forgotten that the Sanctuary Lockdown had an activation cost, so that was a bit of a punt. But also, the larger punt was forgetting that this card didn't block. And admittedly, I have no excuse here. I have played a fair amount of Skyclave Shade. So despite that punt, though, still able to bring it home, and thank heavens. Jeez, wow, folks, that was a wild ride. But good game, opponent. Good game. No question about it. Good game. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we are up against Lobo. Good luck, Lobo. And yeah, I think this hand is pretty bad, honestly. It's essentially a 4-lander. We are pretty removal heavy here. I think we are going to go ahead and keep it, as sad as that is. Because the Skyclave Cleric, one of the good things about it is it does have a lot of toughness. So in blocking-oriented matches, a 1/3 is pretty good. It's even better if we can get even just one counter from Luminarch Aspirant onto it. So, you know, it is what it is. But, the game, all right, Adventurous Impulse out of our opponent. Oh, it's on, they're Gruul. All right, fair enough. Well, we're going to start with Castle Ardenvale tapped and play a Swamp. Of course, you know, at this point, we could easily just flood out, folks. So we're not going to start on our spell lands, MDFCs, yet, because the, this also being a tapped land, we can play a Swamp next turn, still fire off Luminarch Aspirant, get the counter onto it. It's a forest. All right. Luminarch Aspirant coming your way. Going to be adding a token or a counter to itself. This is not yet Bone Crusher proof, and they do have a mountain. We have seen the mountain. Okay, Cultivate. Oh boy, what is going on over there, folks? Are they going after blue lands? No, just forests. What is going on? Heavens. All right, well, I don't expect this Kabira Takedown to be very high-quality removal against whatever our opponent's going on about there. So we're going to do that. Going to fire off a Skyclave Cleric, though. Yep, counter's going to go on the Cleric. Just to diversify. It's possible we wanted to get this out of Bone Crusher range, but since they didn't go with another mountain, it's quite possible they don't have it. Scoot Swarm makes a token. All right, yes, well, we are going to kill that. And it has to be with this card, right? Yeah, I think so. All right. We are going to get out of Bone Crusher range, just in case that is a worry. Folks, we need another black land here, because our opponent likely going to slam more scoots. Oh boy, never mind. All right. Apparently, they only had one scoot, and they took their land drop and took their draw for the turn and decided, you know what? This is not going to do it after all, and scooped them up. So GG, opponent, GG. That is unfortunate. Now, admittedly, as long as we drew a land, we won't ever get to see what was the top of our card of our deck, but as long as we drew a black land, I don't know that they were ever going to be able to effectively execute their game plan in a timely manner. Even if we didn't, though, our creatures are going to grow a lot, and as long as they didn't have another scoot, things were looking pretty difficult for them. So, indeed, GG, Lobo, GG. All right, folks, I think we're going to hang on to this. Both of our white sources are tapped, which is unfortunate. But, oh, boy. All right. Well, we're going to lead on Castle Ardenvale. If this is, in fact, mono-red, the Skyclave Cleric being able to gain life could be relevant. It is not mono-red, as it turns out. Well, we don't know what's going on over there, honestly. So, we're going to just try and resolve a Seasoned Hallowblade. And pray that our opponent doesn't have Jwari Disruption or Quench. Or anything. Ooh, Yadaro the Wandering Monster. That is not what we were expecting to have happen. Our opponent must be doing some kind of Genesis Ultimatum deck would be my guess. Oh. I mean, all right. This proposition is acceptable as far as I'm concerned. Okay. Opponent just takes it, huh? Well, then we're going to advance the board with Sanctuary Lockdown. Yes, we gave up a point of damage for not doing this earlier. But if they were going to trade, we would make different plays, right? Yeah, this is... We are not concerned about the race, at least at this juncture. They could be doing something really odd over there, and we might, you know, maybe we're supposed to be concerned about the race, right? But that is not where we're at currently. All right. We're going to put the counter on Seasoned Hallowblade. In the future, I think we will be putting some on Beloved Princess, because that can really help us in the race. And it is unblockable by Bone Crusher Giant. So... all right. Yeah. Yep. Let's just get in. Opponent going to block. We will discard a Brightclimb Pathway in a Heartbeat. And our opponent will lose their Bone Crusher Giant. We will gain 3 up to 19 past the turn. The opponent could have something like Storm's Wrath here, or even a different kind of board wipe or something, but the Seasoned Hallowblade will stay, right? Now, yeah, okay, so it is the Storm's Wrath. We're not excited about that, because we only put the counter over here just in case it turned into a racing situation, right? But... and, you know, we were never... you never quite know what's going on your opponent's side of the board in these kinds of situations, right? So... yeah, I mean, I think we're just going to go ahead and get in here. Just going to plan on making another creature. We have 3 individually lethal threats after this turn. Our opponent can board sweep or something, but then we'll just discard a Basri's Lieutenant. Or... okay, Banishing Light, that's really annoying, but they've still got to be able to handle the other 2 creatures, and sure enough, they can't do it. GG. Adserson. GG. Yeah, again, for those who were missing it, we were just going to plan on making another token, right? So they can get rid of the Seasoned Hallowblade, and that's nice for them. But just the 2 mana remaining, they would have to have, like, a bounce spell and a shock just to stay alive for the next turn. And that's just yeah, no way to live. No way to live. So indeed, GG, opponent. GG. All right, folks, we're back here looking at the deck, and yeah, I had a great time playing it. It did okay. We played 6 games, we lost 3, we won 3, so we went exactly even with it. The first 2 matches we played against, though, were decks that are, like, built to hard counter exactly what we're doing. The one was mono black, and the other one was black red. Just piles of removal. The mono black deck was decking both Pyreka's Libation and Feed the Swarm, which can both, in mono black, remove our enchantments, which is supposed to be difficult for mono black to normally do. So... in game 1, we had some Sanctuary Lockdowns and the Bastions of Remembrance and whatnot, but they didn't do anything, right? And then just infinite amounts of removal, and then they 2-for-1 us regularly with the Murder Shriders and things. And so, like, we've got to be... when your deck is sculpted to beat our deck, you're the favorite, right? So in games 1 and 2, we got really unlucky with with our opponents. So if you were to... if you were thinking about building this deck and you went into it recognizing I will have poor matchups against decks dedicated to removal, then okay, like whatever. The deal is, out of the next 4, we won 1, lost 1, and you know, they were all interesting and fun games in my opinion. So you cannot discount your bad matchups, right? That's not the way that works. So I'm not advocating that you disregard our losses. I am saying that if you were to consider building this deck, that is what you need to take into consideration. You have a couple of polarizing matchups because of the other decks going around in the format. You know, there will be some number of decks sculpted to beat creature decks, right? Particularly in best of 1. I think that's reasonable. We are a creature deck, right? That's why we had Bastion of Remembrance. If you want to do a little better in those matchups, maybe you go up 2 more Bastion of Remembrance. Maybe, I don't know where you cut, maybe a little bit of the removal. You know, maybe we don't need quite this much. Maybe the Kabira Takedowns or something like that. I could see that being fine. But as long as we weren't up against decks that were sculpted to beat ours, I think the deck was actually pretty reasonable. As it happens, the deck sculpted to beat ours was common enough that, yeah, we just went even. So at worst, it's not terrible. At best, I think it's pretty okay, right? So it was a lot of fun to play. We'll be having a great time on the stream. Speaking of which, I have a Twitch, ladies and gentlemen. That's actually what I do most of the time, is stream on Twitch. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I am streaming all 5 days. 5 straight days, from Sunday all the way through till Thursday. And I would love to have you join us. It would be a great time. It is definitely one of those things where I really enjoy getting to know my viewers and stuff like that. We have a really, really great community that's very welcoming. And both, you know, we have a number of players who've been around for a long time. I've been playing the game since 1998. I've been around. But we also have a number of new players. It's a very, very welcoming community. People of all skill levels. We'd just love to have you. And we're going to be playing, if you're watching this the day this releases, we're actually going to be playing this deck tonight, right? On stream. So if you have recommendations, you're like, yeah, this deck looked fun, but I would prefer to do it this way. Tell me in the comments below, let me know, because that's how good decks get built. Nobody puts together 75 and submits it and like, this is the best deck in the format. No, that's not the way that works. You go and talk to like, even like decks that dominated or the Eldrazi Winter and stuff. They said, yeah, I would have done this different or that different. You know, tournament decks, you know, the best players in the world say, hey, you know, if you were going to do this, I guess I'd probably change maybe this card or that card. Because once you've played enough games with it, you will begin to discover the strengths and weaknesses of certain cards. And it's, you know, that's the way these things happen. And your ideas, you're going to have a different perspective than me. And your ideas are most welcome. So let me know down in the comments below things you might do differently in this deck. And I'm not going to promise you I'm going to change the deck. But darn it, I can promise you I will consider every card that you suggest. So there is that. Also, just doing the liking and subscribing and stuff, it really does help. That's how YouTube knows to recommend videos. So anyway, that being said, you folks have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time.